Hello, my most amazing artists. We are into October and we are starting our Dia de los Muertos art projects. Dia de los Muertos means Day of the Dead in Spanish, and it is a Mexican holiday celebrated on October 31st through November 2nd. It's all about remembering our loved ones and celebrating them. If you've seen the movie Coco or the Book of Life, you definitely know what I'm talking about. Coco is all about Dia de los Muertos, and you'll see a lot of um, references that you'll recognize. And I've posted in this classroom a Day of the Dead presentation that you should watch before you start anything for art. It has lots of important information that you need to know. If you've already watched it, then you know that in second grade we are working on some kind of Day of the Dead project. But what is it? We will be creating the Calacas. Yes, that's right, we are going to be making skeletons, and we're going to have our skeletons on this awesome black paper so their white bones really pop. And we're going to be making them do different things. They could be playing instruments or a sport. They're going to have fun clothing on. So we're going to be making this for our project. So you probably have some oil pastels and black paper that I sent home. But before we can go to this, we need to practice. Everybody practices their Calacas at least 3 times before we actually draw ours so that you understand how a skeleton should look and you know where the bones go and what shapes to use. And also, if you have different clothing on, what bones would be showing depending on your outfit. So grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and we're going to go through all the steps to draw skeletons and how to think about where the bones would go with clothing. So we're going to practice, and then in a week or two we're going to post a video on how to make this piece. So I hope you do a lot of practicing at home. So grab those things and meet me back here. Okay, so before we can start making our final Calacas on that big black piece of paper, we have to do a little bit of practice first. So we are going to be drawing our Calacas out on a scrap sheet of paper, and I want you to practice drawing a couple of different types of Calacas. First, we're going to draw one together using just basic shapes so we can kind of learn the anatomy of the human. We can figure out which bones go where and how they're kind of positioned. And once we know what a skeleton looks like without his clothes on and how his bones are, when we add outfits to him later, or her, we will know which bones will be showing depending on what kind of clothing they are wearing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw one together. So make sure you have a piece of scrap paper and something to draw with. I recommend a pencil so you can erase. I'm going to use pen so it's nice and dark and you can see it. And I think I'm going to end up drawing a couple of skeletons on here, but let's start out with that first one that has no clothes so we can see all the body parts. So I'm going to start off with the head, and we're going to use really basic geometric shapes. So I'm going to go with the most basic head shape, a circle. And now we know that Calacas do not have, or skeletons do not have eyeballs. We're just going to do 2 big empty circles. This is where the eyeballs would go if they had them. You can color them in if you want to. You do not have to. This is just practice. And then a tiny triangle for the nose. For the mouth, you kind of have some choice. I like to do the mouth like this. I make a line all the way across and then make another one, and I add the teeth in the center. Now, if you touch your neck, on the back of your neck, you can kind of feel some bones back there. That is called your spine. It's part of your vertebrae, which holds you upright. And what's neat about the spine is that there are a bunch of little tiny bones in there that are kind of square shaped, that are stacked on top of each other so that you can bend forward and lean backwards. So for our neck, we're going to do 2 of those kind of rectangular square bones under our head. And then if you touch right under your neck, on your chest, there's something called a collarbone. It's kind of like right by your shoulders. And we're going to add that in. You can use a rectangle or a skinny oval to represent the collarbone. And they're really skinny. They go horizontally and they almost touch in the center. Let's keep moving downwards. If you touch your sides, you can feel your rib cage. So we are going to be making a crescent shape for your rib cage. Your rib cage protects your lungs and your heart and your other internal organs. So it's a really important part of your body. And the rib cage are kind of curved bones around your inside. So I'm making a crescent shape, which looks a lot like a curve, and then if we add another curve on it to thicken the shape, it looks like a smile or a banana. And I'm going to do 3 crescents on each side of the skeleton's body. So 3 on this side and 3 on this side. There we go. Let's add our arms while we're thinking about it. Now you have a couple of bones in your arms. I like to split it up by the upper arm, which has one big bone. I can't remember what it's called. Oops. And then I draw a circle at the end of that for my elbow. And then what's nice about this is wherever my elbow is, I can decide how I want my arms to go. I can be changing positions. So if I want my arm to go in front of my body, I would make my bone going this way. If I wanted it waving, it would go up. Or it could go straight down. I think I'm going to have them waving though, so I'm going to draw another like skinny little rectangle or oval pointing up. And there's another bone in your forearm that's really skinny and kind of curves like this. And it helps your bone move. So there's 2 bones in your forearm. And then for the hand, there's lots of little tiny bones in your hand, but we're going to kind of just clump them all together. We're going to make a square for the hand and some ovals for the fingers. He's waving at you saying hello. Now let's do the other arm. I'm going to add the same bones on this side, but I can have my arms doing something different. Don't forget that little skinny curved bone. Makes it look like a letter D or a bow from a bow and arrow. A square for the hand and some ovals for the fingers. Now I think we can finish the rest of the body. So let's touch our lower back. If you touch your lower back, you can feel part of your vertebrae where your neck is. So we're going to use those same little bones, little squares stacked on top. And I'm going to do 3 this time for my backbone. Next, touch your hips. We're going to draw our hip bone and we're going to do a pretty basic shape that you might recognize. It has a curve and a point. The heart shape. So this is where my leg bones are going to attach, and I add 2 circles kind of in the rounded parts of the heart. And now I can do my legs. So legs are the same as the arms. There are a couple of bones here. We've got the long upper part of our leg, our kneecap, and our lower leg. The lower leg is just like the arm. It has a curved bone that comes off like this. Before I do my feet, I'm going to do my other leg. Now I've got a rule for my skeletons when you start to add clothes. No gloves and no shoes. You want to see those skeleton feet and hands. So now I need to add the feet, speaking of. So I make a triangle for the foot. And depending on how my legs are positioned is how my triangles are going to be positioned. If he's standing on his feet, I usually make the point of the triangle at the bottom of the leg, kind of like that. So then the base can have the toes. And I make little circles for the toe bones. Now this one where he's kind of has his leg kicking out like he's skipping, maybe I'll have the triangle pointing up, but it's always at the bottom of the leg. The point is always at the bottom of the leg. So it looks like he's walking and waving at you. And that is our basic skeleton shape. So now we're going to kind of explore how to add some clothing to a skeleton. So let's practice some of those things. And I'm going to do a couple on here, and I want you to practice at least 3 different outfits on your skeleton. And I want you to snap pictures of those and share them with me so I can see how you're doing. And then eventually in the next video, we'll move on to making it on our big black piece of paper. But practice is really important. So I'm going to start off with my head again. This time I'm just going to go kind of fast. I'm going to do my head shape. Now, no matter what outfit I'm wearing, I think I'm going to be able to see my neck, so I'm going to add my neck in right away. Let's start off with the lady. I think that my lady will be wearing a dress. So I'm going to kind of give her a curved line kind of for the neck of the dress. And I'll add some shoulders onto it. I think that this will be kind of like a sleeveless dress, but I want it to have like a little bit of fancy ruffles, so I might add a bumpy line on the bottom. Kind of to give it a little bit of extra flair. I'm going to draw the bottom of my dress too. So now that I know that this is the not the bottom of my dress, but the part of my dress that covers my stomach, so I'm not going to be able to see any of my rib cage or any of my backbone. Let's see, but I will be able to see part of my arm bones. My collarbones are mostly covered, but I would see, since this is a sleeveless dress, pretty much all of my arm bones. And I'm going to have my dress, or my skeleton's going to be holding up my dress, I think. So I'm going to have one hand down here. And this arm's going to kind of go out a little bit more in a different direction. And I'm going to make the fingers like pinching something. See how I kind of made those two look like they're pinching? Now, she's going to have on a really fancy dress with a big long skirt, but I want her to be kind of holding on to part of the skirt. So I'm going to have her pinching on to part of the skirt. I'm going to do like a big bumpy line that comes down. Like that. Ooh, fancy. I can add some extra stuff to this dress to make it a little bit more exciting. I think on this leg, this dress is pretty long, so maybe we only see part of the foot. But maybe we see a little bit more, like she's got her foot pointed out. Here's the bottom of the leg, or we could see more of her foot. Not bad. I can even go back up and add some other details. Maybe I want her to have some earrings. I'm going to add some big hoop earrings. Kind of look like ears. And I want her to have a flower in her hair. And then I'll make some fancy hair for her. I usually wait to do hair at the end so I know where my clothing is. So if she's got long hair, it can go behind. And I know where it's supposed to be. That looks pretty nice. Next one, let's try to do a boy. And this boy's going to be looking kind of crazy. We'll make him have like a half long sleeve pant look and half short sleeve shorts look. So he's going to have a crazy outfit on. Start off the same. We're going to have the face, the mouth, let's see, and the neck bones. And this time he's going to have like a V-neck shirt on. Maybe we'll see part of the collarbone sticking out. And I'm going to give him a fancy hat. So I'm going to give him a big festive hat. And I make an oval that goes around the head. It kind of starts in the middle of the head. It gets really close to the top and around. On the edges of the oval, I make two vertical lines. And I connect them. I'm running out of room on my paper. Good thing I have one behind it. I might move it down a little bit. And then I'll add the top of the hat. So I'm going to try to match it up with the top of his head. I don't want it to be too wide. And I can add a zigzag. We just made a really fun, festive hat. All right, so he's got this crazy outfit on. This side's going to have short sleeves. So I'm going to make a t-shirt. This side, long sleeves. So he's got a long sleeve here. So if he's got long sleeves on, you probably can't see any of his bones. You're only going to see his hand. This one's a short sleeve. So maybe I see the elbow and I see the lower part of the arm. I might see some of the upper arm and not the whole thing. But I made his short sleeve kind of long, so he's going to have just part of his arm showing because this will be covering up the upper arm. Maybe I'll add some details to this shirt to make it look a little more exciting. It's fun to add details to the clothing. Even though it's a really weird shirt, one long sleeve, one short sleeve. And I think the pants are going to be even weirder. So we're going to start off with a pant leg and a shorts leg. I'm going to make them like kind of frayed at the bottom. And I might even add a patch on like a scarecrow. I usually just draw a shape and I add a couple of these lines on it to look like it's stitched on. Alright, so if this is a pant, we're probably only going to see his feet. Remember, no shoes and no socks. You got to see something that's a bone. And this one, maybe it's the knee and the bottom of the leg. There you go. That's a wacky outfit. So what I want you to do at home is I want you to practice the skeleton first. You need to know where the bones are. Try some different positions with the legs and the arms. Then I want you to practice drawing at least 2 different skeletons with different outfits on. And maybe you can have them doing different things. They could be holding on to stuff, like a skirt. Maybe this guy is holding on to a flower. He's going to give it to the lady next to him. Sometimes you could put an instrument in here. You might have to model how that would look like with your hands. If a hand would come in front of the body or not. You can make them dancing. So you could even make them a football player if you want. So I want you to practice too. And then we'll be posting the next part of this project, your final draft, in a little bit. So please go and practice, practice, practice.